So this is the Allegheny Lunatic Asylum in Weston, West Virginia. It doesn't open until noon, and you can tour all four floors. They have, and you can spend all night there. So the story about this hospital, it was commissioned to be built in 1858, and then they started building it. There's some falls over there, that same river that goes down. We're about 10 miles away from Jackson Mill, where I just had filmed. See the falls over there? It's about 7:30. A beautiful morning in West Virginia. The clouds have kind of passed over. Look at the expanse of that. It's huge. So I'll just tell you the highlights. So this was still the state of Virginia when they commissioned that building to be built, and it was for the purpose of hospitalizing the insane. And so during its building phase, the Civil War started, secession, West Virginia became a state. So this was actually became part of West Virginia, and so they wanted West Virginia to give the monies back to Virginia, because they wanted to use those funds to fund the war, the Civil War. And before they had a chance to come and get those funds, the Ohio Infantry, I forget which one, I'm going to turn back around. Kids are still kind of going to school. Excuse me a second. The Ohio Infantry came down and stopped the Confederate Army from getting that money for Virginia, and they continued. Well, it ceased. It did not continue being built until after the war was over. It started being built in 1858. It opened its first for patients first in 1963 or 1964. There's another view of it. And I think this was the newer hospital they built for the insane right here. It was built in the 1950s, I believe. But listen to this. So the old building was built in 1858, opened in 1863, and it was built to house at first 200, and I think just 200 people. That was it. Each individual had a private room. It closed in 1994, and at the height it housed 2,000. It was so populated, so overcrowded, but it housed 2,000 people. They did lobotomies there, surgeries, experiments, etc., etc. So when they decommissioned that building, they had discussed turning it into a prison, and now it's privately owned, I think, and they use it for different receptions and stuff. And it kind of reminds me of the Ohio Reformatory, Mansfield Reformatory, up in Mansfield, Ohio. If you've never been, that building is much more beautiful than this building even. It's so impressive. But this is the largest sandstone building in the United States, second largest in the world, and I forget where It's in Europe. Oh, no, it's the Kremlin in Russia. The Russian Kremlin is the largest, like, I think it's sandstone building. There's the side of it. It just goes on and on and on forever. But like I said, you can do full tours of this building. Apparently it opens at noon. I'm going to try to go on the back side of it and see some of the, maybe look at it closer. And I am not watching my phone, I'm watching traffic. But there's not much traffic out here right now because it's only 7:30 in the morning. My next stop, so let's just see what this says. Yeah, 1850 construction was started in 1860, authorizes 1858, and opened in 1864. The largest hand-cut stone building in America. Hand-cut stone. I read that they brought people from Germany and Ireland, craftsmen, stone workers, to cut these buildings. But look at that. Woo! I have a co-worker I work with. He's a guard, and he's with a group that they come down here and they do readings, like to see if there's ghosts and stuff. I guess there are. There's the backside. I'm sure this was part of the newer building complex that was updated after the old building was decommissioned. How would you like to come here after dark? This must be a office or something. But I'd like to explore this town some other time. I'd like to come back for a tour of this. Maybe this summer bring Linda and some other people. If you want to go, let me know and we can arrange it. There's some really cool homes. I bet you a lot of personnel came to this little town of Weston, West Virginia, to staff this. I guess the tour guides, when they take you through the tour, they're dressed as period nurses with white gowns and et cetera, so I'm sure they have some stories to tell. Well, that is the Allegheny Lunatic Asylum in Weston, West Virginia, and this is May 16th, 2019. Next stop, Simon Kenton's Stomping Ground.